How you doing? It's Mr. Kent here, and I am going to talk about rounding today. Rounding. What is rounding? Well, the nice thing is that you are actually used to it. I just need to remind you. Let's say with time, someone asks you, what time do you go to bed? Well, you don't know exactly what time you go to bed, but sometimes you may say, around 8, or around 9, or around 10, if you're good. Now, you wouldn't say around 8 o'clock if you went to bed at 8:55 or 9:05. You only say around 8 o'clock if you go to bed somewhere between maybe 7:50 and 8:15. That's a good idea of what rounding is. You're just giving a general idea of what time you go to bed. How about your wallet? We do this with money all the time. Someone says, how much money do you have? You look in your wallet. You see two $5 bills, which equals $10, but you also see a couple of other ones, but you don't really want to take it out and count it. So you say you have about $10. You may have 11, you may have 12, but you wouldn't have $18 and say you almost have 10. You would be closer to 20, okay? So we actually use rounding all the time. When people say round to the nearest, or when teachers say round to the nearest whole number, or when you want to work quickly with numbers, or estimating. These are the reasons why we round. All right, let's get to the lesson. Rounding whole numbers. First, we need to separate the base 10 number group that I talked about, the numbers or the numerals 0 through 9. We need to break those in half. So we're going to start with 0. We go to 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you look at that, that's 5 numbers, including the 0. And we're going to call those the smaller numbers. Okay? They're smaller, obviously, because they're smaller than 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So remember that right there. Now, what we're going to remember is that the numbers 0 through 4, we're going to round down. Just remember that for now. We're going to apply it later. For the bigger numbers, 5 through 9, we're going to round up. Okay? So we can look at it like this also. 0 through 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are the smaller numbers, so we'll round down. And the bigger numbers, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we'll round up. Okay? Let's keep that in mind and go on to the next one. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's look at 2 examples. You see on a test, or your teacher asked, round 26 to the nearest tens place. Now, if you refer back to my video, you don't know what the tens place is, go to the video of the base 10 number structure and it'll explain it to you. All right. Well, we are going to do a number line, and I'm going to make a number line by tens because we're looking for the tens place. So I'm going to do every digit in between 10 and every digit in between 20 and all the way up to about 40. But I see that I'm just working with the number 26. So I'm going to really look at and magnify in on this 20 through 30 because 26 falls right between 20 and 30. So now if I look here and I break down the number line, I see that the number 26 has a ones place of 6. Okay, and we're looking at the ones place because we want to round to the nearest 10. So we're going to look here, and we may change this or we may not, but let's look. So the smaller numbers are here. 26 doesn't fall in the smaller numbers. 26 does fall in the bigger number. So we round bigger, the new number will be 30. So 26 is rounded up to 30. Ones place, tens place. The nearest tens number is 30. Okay? Let's try another number. Round 521 to the nearest hundreds place. Well, first, I'm going to count ones, tens, hundreds. This is the number that we're going to be either changing or making stay the same, but we're going to look at the number right next to it. Okay, so we're going to look at the numbers in the tens place to see if we're going to round up or round down. So I have my hundreds number line, and I'm looking at the number between 500 and 600. I magnify in on that, and I see that 520 falls over on the smaller side. Well, I want to round to the nearest 100 place, so I see that the nearest hundreds is 500, okay? Because our next number is 2, and 2 is smaller. If it was bigger, we would round it up to 600. But since it's smaller, the new number, or the rounded number, is 500, and we rounded down. And that's how we understand rounding up and rounding down. All right, let's try a lot of examples. All right, let's move through these fairly quickly. RTN just means round to the nearest whole number for these. So I'm going to box this. I'm going to underline the next one. This is the nearest whole number because all the numbers on the other side of the decimal are decimal numbers. So I see that number is below or in my smaller column. So I'm going to round this number to 1.00 or just 1. It's closer to 1 than it is to anything else. Okay? 25.8. We want to round to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to look at this number right here. And this one, I need to measure if it's bigger or smaller. Well, the number is 8. So it falls on the bigger side. So I'm going to round this one up to 26. And I'm going to change that back down to 0. Because the closest number that it's to is 6. So the number is 26. All right. Nearest whole number. I'm looking at 0 right here. And I need to determine if this is bigger or smaller. I see that it's 9. It's on the bigger number column. So I'm going to round this up to 101. I'll just leave it there. 101. That's our new rounded number. And these numbers are easier to work with. How about 99.9? I look at this number right here because it's the nearest whole number. I see that the 9 is on the bigger side, so we're going to round up. And we're going to make this a 100 because I had to make this a 0 and change the other number, add the 1 to there, and we're going to make it a 100. Okay? How about round to the nearest tens? Well, this is my ones place, and this is my tens place. This number is on the smaller side, so we'll round down to the new number, 50. Ones, tens. So I'm going to box off my tens, underline my ones place. I see that the number is bigger, so I want to round up and make this number bigger. 170. It's closer to 170 than it is to 160. So I'll write down 170. The number 6. Can we do anything with this? We do not have a tens place. This is the ones place, and there is no tens place. But you have to pretend there is, because the number 6 is actually closer to 10 than it is to 0. So we can round this number up to 10. And the number 1. We're going to make a box right here for the pretend tens place. This is the ones place. It's small, so we're going to round down. And here, we can just round the number to 0 because it's closer to 0 than it is to 10. All right, last group. Round to the nearest thousands place. We're going to count ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. This is the place that I want to keep. So I'm going to look at the next number over. I see the number is a 5. The 5 moves up bigger, so we're going to make that number 1 bigger and put zeros for the rest. The number is closer to 3,000 than it is to 2,000 because we're working with the thousands place. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Box that off. Underline the next number. I see that the number is a 4. Even though we have these numbers over here, I'm not worried about those. The number is a 4. We round down to 2,000. We don't change it to 1,000, even though we increase the number when it goes up. We actually leave the number the same, and we zero all of these out. So the number is actually closer to 2,000 than it is to 3,000. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Box that off. Look at the next number. The number is 0, and I can see that 5,001 is actually closer to 5,000. All right, are you getting it? One last one. Number 1,000. Well, I can see that it's to the nearest 1,000, but I'm going to go through the rule anyway. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. I look at this number, it's 0. There's nothing that we need to change. It's already rounded. All right, and there you go. That is rounding. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you next time.